Live champion now.
This is Q13 News at 10.
Tonight, a new conversation starting about whether enough is being done to protect our community from known gang members. Thanks for joining us. I'm Marnie Hughes.
And I'm David Rose. Gang-related violence is on the top of many people's minds, especially after Gabby Reyes was shot and killed in her Burien business during a gang-related drive-by shooting. Now, Burien's police chief is voicing his frustration.
He says juvenile gang members are being released from custody even though they have a history of violence. Tadevik Aprikian explains how that's possible.
As gang violence escalates in Burien,
we need some help around here.
A traffic stop Sunday night resulting in a teen gang member not going to jail prompted the police chief to address the city council.
A system where juveniles are released from custody over and over again despite multiple firearms charges is not in the best interest of community safety.
Sergeant Ryan Abbott with the King County Sheriff's Office says deputies pulled over a car with 5 known gang members inside Sunday night.
Ordered everybody's hands up. Immediately, some of the detectives could see some handguns in the car.
Abbott says the gang members tried to hide weapons under seats, but detectives were able to handcuff everyone and book 2 adults into the King County Jail.
We were able to get some more guns off the streets, but we weren't able to get everybody into jail or behind bars yet.
Police say one of the 5 who did not get booked, a 15-year-old known gang member with a prior conviction for possession of a firearm and a current case pending for having a firearm on school grounds.
When the officers attempted to book the youth, booking was denied. This left the officers with no choice but to take the juvenile home.
Law enforcement could not comment on why the teen was denied into the youth jail, other than saying the youth jail's criteria was not met in this case.
The disconnect on this one is with the youth service center and the screening and the detectives or deputies on scene. So again, I don't know why they denied him. We were just told that they weren't going to accept him.
Abbott says having a known gang member out on the streets when he could have been in jail is concerning for law enforcement and the public.
It is a little scary, and I have thought about moving out of here just because of all the stuff I see on the news all the time.
In Burien, Tadevik Aprikian, Q13 News.
I think it leaves a lot of us scratching our heads at the system and some of the common sense involved. We did reach out to the King County Youth Jail. We haven't heard back from them yet. This afternoon, deputies served a search warrant for the vehicle they pulled over on Sunday night. They did find a gun that will now go into evidence, and the case has been submitted to the prosecutor's office, so we'll stay on that. And the violence in South King County has to stop. We're also following another shooting death that appears to involve another innocent woman.
This time it's a 22-year-old who was killed sitting in her car. This is Amara Riley. She was killed last Wednesday in the Renton Skyway area. Deputies say multiple shots were fired towards her car. That was on Rainier Avenue South. Right now they're trying to figure out who did this and why.
They don't believe this was random. This was a targeted attack on the victim, and we're doing our best to try to find out exactly who's responsible for this.
Deputies say a dark-colored sedan was following her when she was killed. You're asked to call Crime Stoppers if you have any information. There is a $1,000 reward. If you can help deputies make an arrest, call 1-800-222-TIPS or use the P3 Tips app on your phone.
Well, it is time to clean out your freezer. A major beef recall linked to E. coli is to blame for at least 1 death and 18 illnesses. The bacteria was found in 133,000 pounds of ground chuck nationwide. The meat was distributed by Cargill Meat Solutions and produced on June 21st. They were sold in 3, 10, and 20-pound packages at Safeway, Target, and Sam's Club stores. For a full list of recalled products, you can visit the USDA website. The goal to save our sick and dying orca whales is not happening fast enough. Just 2 weeks ago, J50 died. Now NOAA researchers say this whale, K25, is ill. He's 27 years old, and we want you to look at these 2 images because on the left, this image was taken back in 2016, and on the right, this was in September of this year. He's a lot thinner now, and you can see based on these 2 images how wide his body is. So researchers say his mother died last year, and because she is not here to help him catch prey, he's losing that weight. Meanwhile, multiple orcas are pregnant within all 3 pods of the southern resident population. This is a big deal because these whales have not had a successful pregnancy in 3 years. So on the left from 2015, that is a pregnant orca. And on the right, it seems like good news. We've got another pregnant orca, but they say she's not quite as big as what we've seen in the past. And they say if more isn't done to save these whales, it won't matter much. Simone Del Rosario sat down with the co-chair of the governor's Orca Task Force to see what is being done to save them.
We're seeing it before our eyes. We're seeing the health decline. And there are some Band-Aid solutions in this report, right? Increasing hatchery production does not return an ecosystem back to health. Killing pinnipeds does not return the salmon to the whales without having to do that on a yearly basis. Returning the ecosystem, in my mind, means doing something that would be more permanent. So although likely the task force needs to come up with some short-term solutions to get these whales food as soon as possible, will we see more long-term solutions that will reverse course of what we've been doing to this ecosystem for decades?
We would certainly like to see that is the case. We are identifying the short-term responses that we think can help them now. As you identified, there are critical actions that need to happen because of their health at the moment. And we think that if more food is available, if steps begin to be taken both with hatcheries, with issues around increasing the spill to make sure that the salmon can return in greater numbers, can have long-term and relatively short-term responses that will make a difference for the orcas themselves. But that is the dilemma that we have, and that is that the ecosystem and the health of the ecosystem, it's been a long time coming to cause the kind of challenges that we have, and it will take time to be able to heal that. But we have to make the steps now to be able to do that, and that takes investments from all of us.
We've been following this topic for years. Go to our website, Q13Fox.com, as we continue to dive into the efforts being made to save the orcas.
Yeah. Well, your weather looks great again for tomorrow, and it was a gorgeous night.
It was so nice. So we had this amazing sunset right about 7, and then just a couple minutes later we had this amazing almost full moon from last night rise, and both colors just super distorted because there's been a couple new fires out in the eastern part of the state. This is different than our August smoke. Doesn't seem to be as many particulates, but still it makes the colors of the sun and the moon just amazing. Let's show you what's going on. So get ready for your sunrise tomorrow at 7, and it'll be incredible. Take a look here. You can see that kind of haze that I was talking about, and just watch the colors change as it goes into twilight. So 7:30, and then totally dark by about 7:40. But that is just something special. It's so nice. And that's one of the things about this time of year I get sad about, that I can't really show you time lapses after about 10:15, just because obviously the time change. All right, so it's 8 degrees warmer in Bremerton than it was last night at this time. Kind of gives you an idea, you guys. Tomorrow's going to be a nice warm day.
Well, tonight, the Snowcat Task Force is pleading for your help to put this dangerous man behind bars. He is convicted felon Jeremy Hill. Now, he's accused of stealing 4 different cars and violently robbing his victims. In one case, cops say he dragged an elderly woman almost 20 feet before she was able to get away. And this man was even sent to the hospital with very serious injuries after he says Hill stole his truck. Investigators say he will stop at nothing to get what he wants and to get where he's going. Tonight, Jamie Tompkins caught up with this victim, who luckily lived to tell his story.
This guy comes walking up to me, and he asked me if I had a cigarette.
John Lipka says he didn't have a cigarette to offer the stranger who approached him in a parking lot in Kirkland, and he sure couldn't have guessed what would happen next.
My first thought was, it's like, oh my God, that's everything I have.
Investigators say this man, 34-year-old Jeremy Hill, got behind the wheel of John's gardening truck.
I instinctively reach in and I grab him.
John says he tried desperately to stop Hill from driving away.
His eyes got like really huge, and his skin was like, I remember it was like all greasy, like somebody who'd been up for days. I'm like hanging on, like, oh my God, and I see the wall coming. So I just let go. I kind of don't remember a whole lot of more than just like bouncing up off the pavement, spitting out a bunch of teeth and blood, and then just started calling for help.
The Snohomish County Auto Theft Task Force says Hill is suspected of at least 2 robberies and 4 vehicle thefts during the month of August in Seattle, Everett, Monroe, and Kirkland. And investigators say John's case isn't the only time Hill's gotten violent. In the Everett theft on August 9th, detectives say Hill and 2 others are suspected of stealing a Toyota Highlander from a husband and wife.
The driver's wife, a 63-year-old female, attempted to stop Hill by grabbing the vehicle. He accelerated and ended up dragging her 18 feet, and she sustained multiple injuries.
After several weeks in the hospital, multiple corrective surgeries, even eating chicken broth from a syringe, John fears it's only a matter of time before someone else is severely injured or even killed.
Jeremy, you may be thinking you're just stealing cars, but you're not. You're really hurting people.
In Seattle, Jamie Tompkins.
You need to stop.
Q13 News.
As for Hill, investigators say he has ties to the Monroe Sky Valley area in East Snohomish County. He's 5'9", he weighs about 210 pounds. He has brown hair and blue eyes. He is a convicted felon. He's got a warrant in Seattle as well as a misdemeanor warrant for possession of vehicle theft tools and driving on a suspended license. If you spot him, go ahead and just call 911 and then submit a tip to Crime Stoppers so we can make sure you get the cash reward of up to $1,000. If you know where he's couch surfing or who he's staying with, that's what you want to submit to Crime Stoppers by calling 1-800-222-TIPS or use the P3 Tips app on your cell phone.
Well, first it was ride-sharing bikes. Now Lime is trying out scooters, and it's not in Seattle. Up next, the pitfalls and the advantages of this new form of transportation.
Plus, holiday hiring is underway. How many people are needed and where to look?
And a puppy rescue, the steps you should take if you ever come across a puppy mill.
See, feel, climb. First out, last in. Look round corners. Look in crannies. Go down dark alleys. Lose yourself. Catch a lift. Push boundaries. Go walkabout. Get set. Go after the goosebumps. Never stop discovering.
There's only so much time in the day, but there's always something more to be done. Washington Tractor knows having the right gear in your toolbox is essential for every job. With a John Deere compact utility tractor and features like iMatch Quick Hitch and AutoConnect, switching between over 100 different implements is a snap. And right now, get a 1023E tractor for just $99 a month. Washington Tractor works for you. Visit WashingtonTractor.com.
Okay, it's Ford Truck Month, and here's how it works. You take Ford F-150, work in best-in-class towing and payload, sweeten up the offer, and boom. Look who just saved a stack of cash on the most awarded brand in J.D. Power Initial Quality. And it's America's best-selling truck 41 years straight. It's buy now time, people.
Only until October 1st. Get 0 for 72 on an F-150 or get $10,500 total value plus $1,500 on top of your trade. Hurry, these deals won't last.
When Kim Schreier says, I will lead the fight to keep them out. What she isn't saying is the real people that are kept out are the ones most in need. Millionaire Kim Schreier's practice denied health care to poor kids on Medicaid while she got rich. Medicaid patients need us to open doors, not close them. We need to keep Kim Schreier out of Congress. NRCC is responsible for the content of this advertising.
Now is a great time to own the Honda CR-V, a 2018 KBB.com Best Buy. Because the 2018 CR-V LX has more horsepower than a 2018 Forester 2.5i. It also has more passenger space than a 2018 Escape S. The list goes on. The Honda CR-V, a 2018 KBB.com Best Buy. Hurry into a Honda dealer to find a great deal on a CR-V.
Lime has now hit Tacoma. The bicycle rideshare company unloaded a fleet of bikes over the weekend.
But unlike in Seattle, Tacoma has another option, scooters. AJ Janavel went to Tacoma today to see why some people love this new means of transportation and others are terrified of it.
They were a hot commodity on Friday.
Sprung up like mushrooms out of nowhere.
Tacoma doesn't get that much cool stuff. It's gonna unlock, teach me how to ride it. That's great.
There are a few ways to get around town in Tacoma already. Now, there's something new.
If I can scooter, I'm gonna scooter.
Taylor Nance rode her first Lime scooter, and she's already made new friends.
Can I hang out with you guys?
Nance got a few lessons from her new running crew.
You know, I thought they were gonna go a lot faster.
She says she's happy she finally found one to ride.
You gotta drive to find one quickly so they're not stolen.
For some people, it's a challenge just finding one of these scooters to ride because they're so popular right now. But for some people, the challenge is getting used to these new vehicles that are taking up the sidewalks here in Tacoma and doing so pretty fast.
That's not cool. Did you hear that? These things are going to kill somebody. The problem here right off the bat is speed. Amateurs who don't know how to ride a scooter.
Gigi Gerard and Jordan Sharp say they've already had a few close calls with the new scooters.
This is a big problem down here. I just see a catastrophe happening, and I just hope it's not me.
Gerard says it's bad enough how fast people go on them, but it's even scarier how close they get to people walking, especially kids. Gerard says with how people are using these new scooters, they should be nowhere near the sidewalks. Reporting in Tacoma, AJ Janavel for Q13 News.
So about 250 e-bikes and 250 scooters are operating in Tacoma right now during the 60-day trial program.
Lime bike rules require all riders to wear helmets, although I think we rarely see that happening. A driver's license they have to have as well and be at least 18 years old. For a full list of the rules, you can go to Q13Fox.com. You say they go pretty fast.
I think they go about 22 miles an hour. They're really fun, but I can totally see if you don't have wide enough sidewalks, and I think you're even supposed to drive in the street, you're definitely going to take somebody out at some point, because you can get a little wobbly on those if you don't know what you're doing.
Pretty hard to regulate.
Yeah, they are fun, though.
The calendar says September, but many companies are already starting to look for holiday help. Economic experts say more job openings will be available this year than last year, which is good news. About 1,100 people are expected to be hired in our state during the holidays. A majority of jobs will be in King, Snohomish, and Pierce counties. UPS, for example, just announced today they plan on hiring 1,600 people in Seattle and Tacoma. Kohl's, Target, and Macy's are also hiring thousands of workers.
This is not just our bricks and mortar stores. We also have online retail that's going to play into that. But there are also implications for other industries that we might see that ripple through with increased hiring in some of the transportation and logistics focused companies.
And for young adults looking for a job, there will be a job fair in Kent tomorrow. This will be at the Kent Commons Community Center from 3:30 to 5:30 in the afternoon. Several employers will be there from SeaTac Airport, FedEx, Macy's, Old Navy, and Amazon. The event is free. You don't need to register. Just bring yourself and make sure you bring a resume.
All right, you won't need a raincoat or an umbrella or anything either, because it's going to be nice.
No, it's going to start out, I mean, you know, kind of cool, crisp, but boy, something special. You wake up early, 7 o'clock, sunrise, just looking good from the east. I'll show you what's coming up across the great Pacific Northwest. What are you going to do with this nice weather over the next couple of days? I know everyone kind of put away their lawn furniture, but man, this is the kind of stuff to sneak a little chair and table back out in the barbecue and enjoy some of this good weather. Notice high pressure in place. High pressure is, I talk about this all the time, it's just more atmosphere above your head, which means then that air mass then descends over your head. Therefore, it's compressed over your head. Therefore, it's heated. Yeah, that's how the air mass gets warmed up, and that's why we're going to see some 80s this week. Okay, no rain in the forecast. A tiny chance of rain Sunday morning. And then all of next week's going to be dry. So we're talking I was saying on social media on the Facebook Live tonight that we're going to have half a day of rain out of the next 15 days. Think about that. That's remarkable. That puts us almost into mid-October before we get anything significant. Okay, so 000 statewide. That's why we're also seeing some of that haze, because we got some new fires going in the eastern part of the state. And with an easterly wind, we're going to get some of that haze coming through the Cascade Gaps there for us. Sunrise at 7, sunset at 7. When you wake up tomorrow, about 50 degrees. It's not as cold tomorrow morning as we saw this morning. This morning we were kind of mid-40s. Tomorrow will be closer to 50. Clear in the sense that we don't have clouds. And then cool just because it's about 50. So you wake up in the morning, you might feel that, especially with that little north breeze that we've had. That northeasterly breeze becomes a bigger deal on Friday, making it quite breezy for the foothills, but that's also going to warm up the foothills. In fact, I was talking about some places like North Bend or kind of out by Buckley, Enumclaw. You're talking 80 easily on Friday, so definitely going to be warm out there. Saturday, kind of that breezy, nice day. It's going to be kind of an odd day because it'll be mostly cloudy, but it'll be warm. And then on Sunday, I got a little rain in the morning. And then after that, like I said, just dry for the long haul. You guys, summer and fall is definitely continuing here for a long time.
More than 200 dogs rescued from 2 puppy mills. We have a look at how they're doing tonight and what you can do to help give them a new home.
Pre- and post-game coverage of Vikings-Rams, plus a preview of Seahawks-Cardinals. Seahawks Game Day, Thursday starting at 4 on Q13 Fox.
It's easy to shrink into your own little world. Especially these days.
I think it's here.
Especially at this age.
Where are we going?
It's a big, beautiful world out there. Sometimes, you just need a little help seeing it.
Presenting the all-new 3-row Subaru Ascent. Love is now bigger than ever.
Kim Schreier puts profits before patients. Schreier got rich while her practice refused to treat the majority of poor children on Medicaid. What's worse, Schreier's practice was sued for overcharging patients, adding hidden charges for simple procedures, charging patients hundreds of dollars more just for being seen at different locations. Thousands of patients were overcharged. Dr. Kim Schreier, she got rich while patients paid more. Congressional Leadership Fund is responsible for the content of this advertising.
Materno Gratuity, the all-weather sports matriarch. Through wind and rain and hail, she leads the cheering section and dispenses snacks at the same time. Luckily, when it comes to healthcare, she's got a team of expert primary care physicians from Virginia Mason who coordinate care for the entire family. And with 9 clinic locations throughout Puget Sound, they never have to go far. Virginia Mason. Be remarkable.
Few others on Earth can rival the strength of an ant relative to its size. Until now. The new 2018 GMC Terrain has arrived. Terrain, the powerful compact SUV from GMC. Get 14% below MSRP on this Terrain SLT. That's over $5,300 below MSRP when you finance through GM Financial. See your Northwest GMC dealer.
What they burn, we breathe. Polluters have poisoned our air and water, creating a mess and harming our health. Initiative 1631 holds them accountable, charging a fee for this, then reinvesting it in this. The big oil companies don't support it, but doctors and the American Lung Association do. Because 1631 means cleaner air and water, thousands of clean energy jobs, and a better future for them. Vote yes on 1631, paid for by Clean Air, Clean Energy, Washington.
Tomorrow on Q13 News This Morning, Christmas is still 3 months away, but we are showing you those holiday toys kids will want before they even ask for them.
Ellen Taylor is Whidbey bound to meet the island chefs and specialty food purveyors for Island Grown Week, which starts on Friday.
And I'm taking a look back at one of our hottest, driest, smokiest summers and what that means for fall. I'll see you tomorrow.
Oh, just look at this adorable face. This is Quincy. Look at this baby nugget. Is he so cute? He's just one of almost 100 puppies who were rescued from 2 puppy mills in eastern Washington. You know, these dogs have gone through a lot. Take a look at Aspen here. Oh, my gosh. He's a little afraid, needs a home. They were rescued from a mill in Stevens County. They're now living in shelters in our area, local rescues. But animal rescue groups, they need your help. This little guy needs a home. This is actually a little girl. Her name is Ellie, and she's got brothers there that look very similar to her. They were rescued from a puppy mill, and tonight, Pasado Safe Haven is warning why you should never get your dog from a puppy mill. And we're going to tell you how 30 of these dogs now need a forever home. Steve Kiggins shows us.
The journey back to good health for these pooches began in Monroe over the weekend.
where volunteers unloaded crate after crate of puppies seized from breeders.
These 255 dogs were rescued from deplorable conditions, had many medical issues, living in their own filth, some of them barely surviving.
Pasado Safe Haven was one of several rescues taking in the dogs. Most are short or long-haired Chihuahuas, and investigators say all were being sold online across the country by breeders.
People can end up buying a puppy who has a lot of really serious medical conditions, and then on top of that, the mother that's left behind, stuck in the puppy mill, is also suffering.
The problem with puppy mills, say rescuers, is most animals don't get the shelter, attention, or medical care they need.
We're living in cages. Many of them had not been on walks before, and unfortunately, you can't tell that by looking online.
Today at Pasado Safe Haven facility in Snohomish County, many of the dogs were finally allowed some space to roam, a chance to be groomed, and a chance to be loved.
And many of them, including Ellie here, are here in our sanctuary and soon to be ready for adoption.
Once these guys are back in good health and fixed, many will be available for adoption locally.
He's like, my name is Princeton, so you have to have an Ivy League education and at least 3 letters after your name to adopt me.
Chances are you can find exactly what you're looking for but through adoption instead of shopping.
She is pretty irresistible.
In Snohomish County, Steve Kiggins, Q13 News.
Oh, so they are taking applications right now. If you're interested in adopting one of these puppies, we put a link to apply and a photo gallery with all 30 of the dogs on our website, Q13Fox.com. Just search adoption. It's also right there on the front page. And you can go through and see each of the puppies. This is the first batch because there's a bunch of them that have been brought over to Western Washington. And so there's going to be more coming out. And there also is a link on there. If you bought a puppy on puppyfinder.com, they want you to see if your dog is sick, and they want you to report that to the Stevens County Sheriff's Office because they're building this criminal case against these puppy mills where they rescued these dogs.
Glad to see they're getting the love they need.
I hope so. They're ready to go home in 2 weeks. So
pretty soon.
Yeah, get your application in now.
Coming up, new ways to tackle youth suicide using technology.
We lose a good chunk of the population that we're trying to help right then and there when we ask them to come to a clinic.
Plus, the man responsible for killing 4 firefighters is getting out of prison early. Up next, we look at why.
And new state Route 99 safety drills are going to be starting this week. What you need to know about and what you can expect.
Q13 Weather is brought to you by Les Schwab Tires. Fall tire sale is one of our biggest sales of the year. Head our way before the weather does, and we'll make sure you're good to go. Les Schwab Tires, doing the right thing matters.
At Hyundai, quality isn't an afterthought. It's built right in. Starting with Hyundai's very own ultra-high strength steel. In fact, J.D. Power just named the Tucson highest ranked small SUV in both initial and long-term quality. Hyundai. The longer you look, the more there is to like.
Lease the 2018 Tucson for $179 a month or get up to $3,000 in savings. Only at your Western Washington Hyundai dealers.
He seemed too good to be true, so I looked him up. Turns out, Dino Rossi not only voted against struggling families, but he tried to profit from their misery too. As a real estate investor, Rossi taught a seminar on how to profit when people lost their homes during the foreclosure crisis. And Rossi kept working with a shady investor even as he was indicted for fraud. Take a look for yourself. Dino Rossi is not for us. DCCC is responsible for the content of this ad.
Is that too much pizza?
Is the XL and Y too much pizza for us?
Oh no, that's my personal extra large pizza.
Now for $9, get any XL and Y. We make it, you bake it. Papa Murphy's.
Okay, it's Ford Truck Month, and here's how it works. You take Ford F-150, work in best-in-class towing and payload, sweeten up the offer, and boom. Look who just saved a stack of cash on the most awarded brand in J.D. Power initial quality. And it's America's best-selling truck 41 years straight. It's buy now time, people.
Only until October 1st. Get 0 for 72 on an F-150 or get $10,500 total value plus $1,500 on top of your trade. Hurry, these deals won't last.
Feeding these guys is tough enough as it is. I definitely can't afford new taxes on groceries. But look at what happened with the huge new beverage tax in Seattle. And other cities in Washington have recently looked to pass similar taxes. Once they reach into our grocery cart, where does it end? And that's why I'm supporting this initiative. Before local governments can put new taxes on any of our groceries. Everyone should vote yes on 1634 to keep our groceries affordable.
Nobody gets your carpet, tile, or hardwood as clean and healthy as Stanley Steamer.
That's why I call.
Call or visit StanleySteamer.com for local specials.
Stanley Steamer, your certified cleaner.
Nissan's latest tech surrounds you with peace of mind. The 2018 Nissan Rogue Sport. Featuring rear cross-traffic alert, blind spot warning, and automatic emergency braking that can stop for you. Now standard on the Nissan Rogue family.
Save up to $4,750 on the 2018 Rogue, or save $2,250 on the 2018 Rogue Sport.
Now the most exciting tech you own is in your driveway.
School-age kids at record levels are dying by suicide in our state. It is causing many minds to tackle this issue, and experts say there is no question that nationally there is a systematic failure of identifying and treating people struggling with mental illness.
And if you live in rural areas, treatment is harder to come by. So now more non-traditional forms of therapy are emerging, hoping to make a difference. Hannah Kim shows us what those are and how they could help.
He had just turned 14. This is actually about 6 weeks before we lost him.
Grief has been an endurance race for Kathleen Gilligan.
One of the things he said was, "There's no place for me in this world."
Kathleen believes her 14-year-old son, Palmer Burke, wrestled with the idea of calling the suicide hotline right before he killed himself.
I found on his desk the suicide hotline card, and best I can tell, he had poked like 100 holes in it with the tip of his knife. And I think he sat there, you know, tapping on it and wondering, and I don't think he called it.
Every day,
Hello, crisis line.
People working at these hotlines talk others down from taking their lives.
Are you somewhere safe right now?
A priceless human connection, but lately,
Let's try a trick to relax right now.
another form of therapy is emerging.
Our first objective is to try to provide some sort of tool and service to people who otherwise wouldn't have anything at all.
That's where mental health apps come in.
We give people suggestions for what to do, what to avoid, and strategies for how to think.
This professor of psychiatry at the University of Washington School of Medicine created Focus.
See how you feel now. If you feel more relaxed, try this again.
The professor says his app is not a replacement for face-to-face therapy, but it's a way to bridge the gap for many who may not have access to therapy and those who may be resistant to it.
We lose a good chunk of the population that we're trying to help right then and there when we ask them to come to a clinic.
So whenever needed, Focus provides virtual access to trained clinical psychologists.
They do it multiple times a day. And so there's a real difference in the frequency and the intensity of the intervention.
Focus is still in its testing stages, but there's been a surge of online resources coined as digiceuticals breaking into the market.
We're seeing a tremendous amount of millennials. We're seeing a lot of teenagers.
Co-creator David Markovich launched 18% this year, an online support group, he says, for the more than 18% of people on any given year suffering from mental illness in this country.
It's a community where people could chat with people struggling with the same struggles and inspire each other.
Markovich says they do not give out medical advice, but what they do provide is real-time support and hope 24/7. In addition to 18%, there are more mobile apps now trying to help people with depression and anxiety. And the brains behind one of them is teenage siblings Hannah and Charlie Lucas from Georgia.
It's like a security blanket, you know?
Hannah says she suffers from a chronic disease that makes her faint frequently.
I just wished that I had an app to help me instantly reach out to my friends and family.
They came up with this app called Not Okay.
The ease of having a button to press whenever you're not okay.
If you need help, pressing the panic button would send a text and GPS location to a chosen number of friends and family.
The reason why it's an app where you just press a button is that most people just text and then delete and then text and then delete. And then it might never even get sent.
These teens say it's already helping other teens with suicidal thoughts.
This is probably one of my all-time favorite pictures of Palmer on his 7th birthday.
Gilligan wonders if an app like Not Okay could have helped her son Palmer.
Sounds like life-saving technology. I wish that had existed when Palmer was still alive.
In Vashon Island, Hannah Kim, Q13 News.
We're following some breaking news tonight. Pierce County Sheriff Detective Ed Troyer says that fugitive Tony French, who's accused of shooting his ex-girlfriend 4 times, has just been arrested. Deputies caught up to the 39-year-old after a traffic stop, and then they say they chased him down using canine units on South Alaska Street in Tacoma. French showed up to his ex-girlfriend's home in Frederickson earlier this month, where deputies say he shot her despite a no-contact order. She's been in hiding ever since. She did survive the attack. Now she can feel safer knowing he's off the streets. Great job by the Pierce County Sheriff's deputies tonight.
A Bremerton doctor will spend the next 9 months in jail for sexual assault. Yesterday, a Kitsap County judge gave Darren Chotiner the maximum sentence. He pleaded guilty to sexually assaulting 5 female patients during exams at his clinic back in 2014. Chotiner was given credit for time served. He will also have a year of community supervision when he gets out.
The man responsible for killing 4 Seattle firefighters in 1995 will walk out of prison a free man on Thursday. Martin Pang will be given early release due to good behavior. He served only 20 years of a 35-year sentence. Pang set fire to his family's warehouse in Chinatown in 1995 to collect insurance money. 4 firefighters died trying to put out the flames. This morning, Brandy Cruz spoke with one of the homicide detectives who helped put Pang behind bars.
Look, we knew this day was going to come. Martin Pang did not receive a life sentence for reasons we'll discuss in a little bit. So we knew at some point he'd be released from prison. Does that make it any easier now, staring his imminent release in the face?
No, it doesn't at all. I mean, like you said, I knew it was coming, but it's still a bitter pill to swallow.
You always thought he should die in prison.
I thought so, yeah. I thought he should have spent the rest of his life in prison.
So for people who maybe didn't follow the story then, I know on social media today I was getting a lot of reactions. Well, why is he being released? He killed 4 firefighters. Can you explain, you know, Martin Pang, after he set the warehouse on fire and the firefighters died, he fled to Brazil.
Right.
Brazil would not extradite him if he was charged with murder. Can you explain, because you were on a task force assigned to investigating the case, can you explain some of the negotiations that were happening that led to his 35-year sentence?
Well, the big problem was that the United States didn't have an extradition treaty with Brazil, and so there was that diplomatic hurdle to get over. Brazil, he was charged with 4 counts of felony first-degree murder in Washington, which means you committed a felony, in this case arson in the first degree, and somebody died. That makes it the same as if you intentionally killed him, so he was charged with 4 counts of murder 1, which would have resulted in the rest of his life in prison. When he fled to Brazil, Brazil has no felony murder rule, so they said that they wouldn't extradite him unless he was charged with the equivalent crime down there, which is manslaughter. My position was always, he's not a Brazilian national. They have it's none of their business what he's charged with. He's an American citizen who fled there. But that's why I'm not a diplomat.
Now, at one point behind the scenes, you guys had discussed maybe kidnapping him off the streets of Brazil, bringing him somewhere else where we do have an extradition treaty, and then bringing him back to the United States to face murder charges. I mean, that just shows how badly you guys wanted this guy to die in prison.
Oh, yeah, that was an active discussion back then in 1995. We were going to take him to Uruguay and then extradite him back to the United States.
I want to read you. I know you're not here to pitch your book that you wrote, but you wrote a book about your time as a homicide detective, and this case is one of the things you write about in the book. I want to read just a passage from your book, Homicide, The View from Inside the Yellow Tape. You said, talking about Martin Pang, he was one weird dude. We interviewed several of his ex-wives. We learned that he had a quick temper and had been abusive. He saw himself as a playboy. He had what seemed like a narcissistic personality. Even family members described him as dangerous. Do you believe that Martin Pang is going to continue to be a danger to society after he's released on Thursday?
Martin Pang is a psychopath and a narcissist, and I have very little doubt that he'll reoffend after he gets out.
Seattle Fire Chief Harold Scoggins released a statement today saying the families of the firefighters and the Seattle Fire family have spent the last 23 years healing from the tragedy, adding the recent news that Pang will be released from prison brings back painful memories for the department and the community. Coming up, a deadly superbug pandemic. What scientists and doctors are doing to outsmart the bugs before it's too late for all of us.
And how much rain are we going to get over the next couple of days? Well, I think you can see it right there. We'll tell you a lot more in a few minutes.
Let's go.
Right here. During the Jeep Adventure Days event, discover deals as legendary as Jeep SUV's 4x4 capability. Because it's more than just a test drive, it's your first adventure. Hurry into the Jeep Adventure Days event.
I can't believe it. But everything sticks to Stefan Diggs' hands?
No, I can't believe how easy it was to save hundreds of dollars on my car insurance with Geico. Cool, huh?
Yeah.
He plays football, huh?
Yeah.
Believe it, Geico could save you 15% or more on car insurance.
Think you missed out on Honda clearance deals? Well, you haven't. Clearance savings on new Hondas have been extended. New CR-Vs, the 2018 Motor Trek SUV of the year, now just $269 a month. 40-passenger pilots with low 0.9% financing. Packed with technology for over $2,000 less than Toyota Highlander. No wonder Honda is the 2018 U.S. News Best SUV brand. Honda clearance savings continue, but only for a limited time. See your Western Washington Honda dealer today.
Fall is here and it's our favorite time of year. Cooler weather, football, and our preseason furnace sale. Call Bob's Heating today to save up to 20% off Bryant systems. Plus, receive a Bryant Wi-Fi thermostat for free. With instant rebates and special financing options included, now is the best time to buy a new energy-efficient furnace. Call the experts in furnace installation, service, and repair since 1957. Choose Bob's Heating and Air Conditioning. You'll be glad you did.
And Kim Schreier says, I will lead the fight to keep them out. What she isn't saying is the real people that are kept out are the ones most in need. Millionaire Kim Schreier's practice denied health care to poor kids on Medicaid while she got rich. Medicaid patients need us to open doors, not close them. We need to keep Kim Schreier out of Congress. NRCC is responsible for the content of this advertising.
During Ford SUV season, find out why more people come back to Ford than any other brand. Here's a reason.
We've got room.
And here's another.
Waze says it's faster to take the side streets.
Perfect. And by the way, Ford has won more J.D. Power Initial Quality Awards than any other brand. During the Ford SUV season, get $4,700 total value on a 2018 Edge. Plus, take an extra $1,000 on top of your trade, only at your local Ford store.
So, Greg, it's a lot to take in.
And I know that's hard to hear, but the doctors caught it early.
Hi, Blake. My dad has cancer.
And I know how hard that is to hear. But you're in the right place.
And Dr. Pascal and her team, they know what to do.
They know what to do.
The doctors know what to do.
So here's the plan. First off, we're going to give you all the...
Make every day an adventure with exciting deals on Jeep vehicles right now during the Jeep Adventure Days event. Right now, well-qualified lessees get a low-mileage lease on the 2019 Jeep Cherokee for $199 a month. Hurry to your Jeep dealer.
Now to an important health topic that doesn't get a lot of attention, superbugs. Think about it like this. Right now, bacteria are mutating and they're outsmarting the drugs that we have to kill them. And the result can be life-threatening. To combat what some believe could eventually become a deadly superbug pandemic, there's a group of local doctors and scientists teaming up to form a global biobank in Seattle. It's called Armada. And the goal of this group is to put together a database of bacterial strains. Basically, they want to fingerprint this bacteria and then give doctors access to all the information so they can better diagnose and treat infections.
Hours can make a difference and can make the difference between life and death, particularly with the most fragile, the most vulnerable patients, whether it be children, whether it be adults with cancer who are undergoing bone marrow transplant or who are compromised for some other reason. And so the Armada database can help shorten that time, giving the doctors the best information to treat their patient, minimizing that collateral damage, sparing the good bacteria, and getting the patient the help they need as quickly as possible.
Yeah. Actor Bill Pullman is joining in this effort to fight superbugs. You know him from movies like Independence Day and Sleepless in Seattle. And although the thought of a superbug pandemic sounds a lot like a Hollywood plot, Pullman tells me it is a very real threat to our public health.
We're hoping that we can get people's awareness up so when they have conversations with their doctor about antibiotics that they understand there's an attempt to suppress the usage of them, and also that if the antibiotic isn't working, to understand that this is part of a process that we're trying to get under control.
So if you would like to learn more about what is a very complicated yet important health issue, and also some ways that you can get involved and help with Armada's efforts, go to Q13Fox.com. I've put some information there. Just search superbug. I think it's really fascinating. I'm learning a lot about superbugs and antibiotic-resistant bacteria and some ways to fight it, because what they were telling me is by the year 2050, if we don't get this under control, 300 million people could essentially die because we don't have drugs to fight infections from bacteria that has mutated and grown out of control.
So really they're just trying to spread this awareness and this idea that we need this bank of information to save lives. Is that right?
Exactly. And they want, I think, first of all, they're trying to raise money so that the bank can start here in Seattle and it can grow nationally. And I think a lot of hospitals is what they want to get involved. But for you at home, I think the big message is you can go to their website and find out how you can arm yourself with information. It starts with having a conversation with your doctor. If you go into the doctor and you've got some sort of sickness and they are trying to help you, they'll prescribe antibiotics. Well, they want you to take those antibiotics for the recommended amount of time. Don't take half of them, I'm feeling better, and then you don't take the rest. Right. You're trying to fight this antibiotic-resistant problem that we're having. And so that's a start, but it's about having a conversation, raising awareness, and ultimately putting together a database that becomes stronger than the bacteria that so far has been outsmarting us.
All right, we don't want the superbugs to get us.
We do not. It'll become a movie starring Bill Pullman.
Yeah. That's a good point. All right, if you are near the northbound side of the 99 tunnel on Thursday, you may see Seattle Fire and Police Departments hard at work. Response crews will practice what to do if an accident happens inside the tunnel with cars and drivers trapped inside. LaMonica Peters has more about the drill that WSDOT says will help keep people safe.
WSDOT says it spent a year and a half planning this exercise. Their goal? To learn as much as they can from it so that all agencies involved can be prepared for an emergency inside the tunnel. After announcing the tunnel will open in early 2019, WSDOT says multiple agencies are ready to respond to a large-scale simulated accident inside of the SR 99 tunnel on Thursday.
Right now, there are 12 vehicles altogether that we're pre-staging, 8 cars and 3 buses, and we'll have upwards of 24 folks that are injured. And so Captain Sano mentioned the moulage, so they'll actually have simulated makeup on to demonstrate those injuries and make it as realistic as possible.
WSDOT, Seattle Fire and Police, and the transportation departments will practice working together as the tunnel's fire suppression system is also activated. In the event of an emergency, the Traffic Management Center will close these gates to stop more cars from entering the tunnel.
The Traffic Management Center in Shoreline is going to be staffed 24/7. They're keeping an eye on the tunnel, and they're able to assess quickly what would be the best approach for the fire department to make access into the tunnel. Signage will tell drivers to either exit the tunnel on foot or remain in their cars. Traffic officers will also be dispatched to the scene. Administrators say the drill will allow first responders to familiarize themselves with the tunnel and all of its safety features.
Once the tunnel's open, we don't just stop and ignore everything. We continue to work with fire and police and continue to develop plans and change plans. WSDOT also told us that the SR 99 tunnel will have a 17-person maintenance crew checking its operating systems 4 days a week. I'm LaMonica Peters in Seattle, Q13 News.
I always love to go in the tunnel, and about halfway through, I'm like, I can't wait to get out of the tunnel. Because then you start to realize what's above you.
Oh, I know. I always played these games growing up where you hold your breath through tunnels, and that one's probably going to be a little too long for that one. Let's show you what's going on across the great Northwest. We've got ourselves some good stuff. Here's the deal. High pressure. High pressure is this big, giant dome of air above your head, and therefore that air then starts to descend. As air kind of starts falling out of the big bubble, it is then compressed and heated, and that's why why we have warm weather, and that's why it's going to be even better than that over the next couple of days. 75 to 80 degrees coming your way for Thursday and Friday. Okay, so tomorrow a beauty. Tonight, wonderful, 57. It was over 70 degrees today at the beach. I know, right? That was incredible. We got more of that for the next 3 or 4 days. Even when we get into Saturday and Sunday for the threat of rain, we're really not going to see much. So let's get out there and show you what you can expect. Winds generally out of the north, and that allows us to have that drying air mass. They're going to start changing out of the kind of northeast over the next couple of days, so we're going to pick up more smoke from the fires that started. In fact, you can see here Thursday night we get our first kind of northeast push we've had in a long time. That's kind of more something you would think of in August when we really cook. But of course, because of lack of daylight and our nights are longer than our days, we can't cook, but we can get up to about 80. That's warm for this time of year. Hazy, 50, clear, cool, sunrise 7. Get up early. It is something special. This morning I was out there watching that moon set over the Olympics. My goodness, one of the coolest things I've seen. Okay, so here you go. 71, 72, 75. If you're south of Seattle, add about 5 degrees to that, which means there'll be many towns on Friday that are in the 80s. And then we just go back into some nice weather. And all of next week, you guys, looks dry again, remarkably.
All right, Walter, great news. Thank you. Fans celebrated the Seahawks' big win over the Cowboys on Sunday by meeting 2 of the Hawks' rising stars in Tacoma. So fresh off that big game, rushing for 102 yards, running back Chris Carson entered the Northwest Sports Card shop to cheering 12s, and he and rookie defensive end Rasheem Green signed autographs and took some pictures with fans, eager to hear more about the Hawks' momentum. While there, Green shared about some of the team rituals that are required of rookies.
If I had to give you an example, before we go on away games, I have to get Cheesecake Factory for the whole D-line.
Pay your dues.
Yeah, that sort of stuff. I mean, I get it, but, like, I don't think there's one person that says they like to spend money like that.
Got to appreciate that. All right, this woman made Green feel better. She baked him some cookies. Fans brought personal items for the players to sign. In fact, 112 carried in some stadium seats, which have now been autographed by 40 different Seahawks players.
Wow, very cool.
Well, the Me Too movement is getting more attention as Supreme Court nominee faces 2 sexual allegations.
But the president is taking a strong side on the matter. The update up next.
Toyota buyers, rate savings are alive. Exit 2 off 405. Toyota Renton.
Mattress Depot USA offers twin sets starting at just $199 and twin memory foam sets for as little as $249.
Low prices every day. Mattress Depot USA.
How would I-1631's new energy tax affect your family? Washington families and consumers would pay more than $2.3 billion in higher energy costs for gasoline and heating fuel. And on top of that, hundreds of millions more in increased energy costs for electricity and natural gas. And 1631's escalating taxes would automatically increase every year with no cap. Look into the facts before you vote.
See, feel, climb. First out, last in. Look round corners, look in crannies, go down dark alleys. Lose yourself, catch a lift. Push boundaries, go walkabout, get set. Go after the goosebumps. Never stop discovering.
A smile, such a simple gesture, an effortless contraction of muscles, a flash of teeth. Healthy smiles have the power to spread joy, courage, and love. When you smile, it transforms you and the world around you. So if you feel the urge, go ahead and use that simple gesture to spread joy. Keep your smile healthy and strong. Choose Delta Dental, protecting more smiles than anyone.
Each day brings new possibilities. That's why you need a partner dedicated to helping your company reach its goals. U.S. Bank, the power of possible.
It takes a village. That village helps us become who we are today. Beacon Plumbing is passionate about giving back. The next generation deserves the opportunity to be whoever they want to be. It's our job to make sure they believe it.
He seemed too good to be true, so I looked him up. Turns out, Dino Rossi not only voted against struggling families, but he tried to profit from their misery too. As a real estate investor, Rossi taught a seminar on how to profit when people lost their homes during the foreclosure crisis. And Rossi kept working with a shady investor even as he was indicted for fraud. Take a look for yourself. Dino Rossi is not for us. DCCC is responsible for the content of this ad.
It's Nissan's Take Home a Titan Truck Month. The best time to take home big savings on our full lineup of tech-filled Titan trucks with V8 standard and best-in-class standard horsepower and torque, all backed by America's best truck warranty. Get to Nissan's Take Home a Titan Truck Month and take home big savings. Save up to $10,687, or for a limited time, get a low $279 per month lease on a well-equipped Titan. Hurry, Truck Month ends soon.
The president is criticizing Democrats on the sidelines of the United Nations General Assembly, and today his remarks coming as his pick for the Supreme Court faces allegations of sexual misconduct.
A vote on his nomination is Friday, just one day after both Kavanaugh and his accusers are expected to appear before the Senate Judiciary Committee. Lauren Blanchard has more.
I'm confident we're going to win. Confident this he will be confirmed in the very near future.
Meanwhile, the top Democrat on the committee, Dianne Feinstein, saying this about the newly scheduled vote. Quote, for Republicans to schedule a Friday vote on Brett Kavanaugh today, 2 days before Dr. Blasey Ford has had a chance to tell her story, is outrageous. The GOP refusing to delay Kavanaugh's hearing, even as a second woman has come forward with allegations of sexual misconduct against the Supreme Court nominee, something the president took time to address on the sidelines of the United Nations General Assembly.
The Democrats are playing a con game, C-O-N. A con game.
Still, Democrats calling for an investigation into Dr. Christine Blasey Ford's accusations.
We are heading for a hearing that is far from what a serious fact-finding inquiry should be.
Republicans have hired a female lawyer as outside counsel for Dr. Ford's hearing on Thursday because all 11 GOP members on the committee are men.
We have an outside person coming in, and I think that's an appropriate way to do it so that you don't, the witness should not be uncomfortable.
Dr. Ford's attorney is objecting to the outside counsel, saying it's not appropriate to bring in an experienced sex crimes prosecutor because the hearing is not a criminal trial.
Next at 11, response crews are going to be on the SR 99 tunnel on Thursday. Find out what they're practicing in order to keep you safe.
Plus, police just announced they've arrested the fugitive who was on the run for 2 weeks after detectives say he shot the mother of his child 4 times. We're back in 60 seconds.
Kim Schreier puts profits before patients. Schreier got rich while her practice refused to treat the majority of poor children on Medicaid. What's worse, Schreier's practice was sued for overcharging patients, adding hidden charges for simple procedures, charging patients hundreds of dollars more just for being seen at different locations. Thousands of patients were overcharged. Dr. Kim Schreier, she got rich while patients paid more. Congressional Leadership Fund is responsible for the content of this effort.
Okay, it's Ford Truck Month, and here's how it works. You take Ford F-150, work in best-in-class